So what do you do when you're looking at your paintings and you're going, something's wrong with it, but I don't know what's wrong with it? Christine Lashley, what do you do?
Well, I'm going to share with you my top way that I try to improve my paintings with talking about just starting super simple and then making it fun.
Okay. So our guest today is Christine Lashley. We're excited about having you here, Christine. She is a master. You are going to love what she has to teach you today. So let's get this show officially started.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rose.
It's Art School Live. We're here every weekday at 12 noon, and we have been here since COVID. We're so happy to be here to serve you, to make you better. I got this email from a woman yesterday. She said, I started watching Art School Live during COVID. And she said, I didn't know how to paint. I didn't think I could ever paint. And I learned how to paint on Art School Live, and I just sold a bunch of paintings. I thought, that is so cool. And I heard from another woman in Colorado, and she said, I was watching Art School Live. I didn't think, same thing, I didn't think I could paint. I didn't think I could do it. She said, but you got me started painting. I watched a bunch of Art School Live. Then I bought a bunch of your videos. I started painting with those. She said, I am now a professional artist. I just had a show and I sold 30 paintings. This could happen to you. So let's make it happen, guys. Let's make it happen. And today we have somebody who's going to really help you make it happen. Let's show some of her artwork because you're going to love this. Look at that. Yummy. Yeah. That looks like Paris. Oh, I want to go on that trip. That's wonderful. Look at this beautiful artwork. And that painting sparkles. And so we're going to talk about sparkle a little bit later. Absolutely fabulous. This is the artist you want to see. Welcome, Christine Lashley.
Eric, thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to chat with you about all my art stuff.
So I gotta tell a little story for you.
Okay.
All right. So Christine just built the brand new studio, and she's going to tell you more about that later and how it happened, but we'll give you a little tour of the studio afterwards. Okay. Are you up for that?
Yes, I am. There's going to be some messy corners, but we'll deal with it. It's
Well,
going to be
we have
paintings.
We have photos, and then maybe if you're up for it, we'll do a little live as well. But it's going to be worth hanging around. I love when people hit their dream, and this was a big goal of yours.
It was a huge goal. I was a stay-at-home mom. I just was doing art in the evenings, and then fast forward to where I'm at now. It's a dream come true. You're right.
Well, maybe we'll talk about that a little later because I'm doing something in January about goal setting, and so maybe we'll talk about what happened to you. But let's get started with your teaching. It's so good. We don't want to miss a drop of it.
Well, again, thanks for having me on the show. I thought what would be useful for viewers and also just to kind of fold in what I'm currently working on and how do I get better? How do I make my paintings better? How do I bring that plein air experience into the studio? It's the winter time. I want to create big paintings, but sometimes I feel like I get a little bit off track. So I thought I would speak to beginner and intermediate and advanced painters about how to keep pushing and how to keep getting better. So we're going to start. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Okay. So basically, I'm a very chaotic painter. I like to just throw down paint, kind of see what happens. I'm very experimental. So I'm in order to progress with the lesson, you kind of have to understand what type of painter you are. And even if you don't know, you have to try different things out. That's how we learn. We try stuff that felt good. Gee whiz, that was hard. So as I tried to get better, I just reached this point where it was just getting hard and I was getting frustrated. So we're going to talk first of all about color and value relationships and how they go together. So here is a scene that I saw. You could see in the lower right corner. Obviously, it's very contrasty. And a beginner might think, wow, that's so pretty. Oh, it only lasted 5 minutes. So what do you do with that? A good plein air painter could probably try to capture that in their head and paint it very fast or finish most of it from memory and also plan for it, maybe pre-mix colors and have a strategy. But the beginner, when faced with a scene like that, might whip out their camera and say, gosh, I have to take a picture of this. But if you look at the picture versus what my plein air study was, you'd see the darkness has gone away. We could see into the shadows. So how do I do that? And basically it all starts with this idea of value. If you look at the two images above, you could see that that is a watercolor that I did, and one is in color and the other is in black and white on the right. And the right one that shows black and white also has a value scale. So Eric, we're going to work on that idea of value, but I just wanted to share with everybody, this is how art gets started, is we work with shape. And we could see that the tree line has a very interesting shape. And
Okay, so let's do this real quickly, Christine,
yeah,
because there's so many people who might be at beginner level who want to understand these terms like value.
yeah.
If my producer has a value scale she can pull up, I don't know if we have one handy or not, but I know we have. Yeah, okay. So if you look at this value scale below me, the lightest light is a number 1 value. The darkest dark is a number 9 value. And everybody does it differently. Some people do 7 values, some people do 9 values, some people do more. But the idea is that a value scale means light to dark. And there are lights to dark, whether you're using it in color or you're using it in black and white or any brown and white or anything. So and so you can see here, like in these creation of forms, that's you can tell what an object is if you get the values right. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Christine, but I wanted to explain that so that everybody would be sure to get that down. All right.
That's right. And Eric, I thought, I don't really like value. I don't want to mess around with that. Let's just break out the color and have some fun.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And I had floaty watercolor going around and puddles of color and mixing and matching, but with a dash of organizing that and getting a grip on what is a silhouette or a shape, that would be the first step in kind of harnessing the power of value. Because in addition to what you described, which is a range of chunks of color, you can do things with values such as you can group your values. And that quite simply is light, medium, and dark. And that kind of simplifies things because then you don't have to work with 10 cubes of color. You can just kind of be thinking about the 3 main groups of color
I was out
and
painting one
value.
day with 𝗕𝗵𝗵𝗍𝗲, and it was kind of a hazy day. And he said, I can't do a painting. He said, there are not 3 values. There are only 2 values. But if he said, if I can get 3, I can make it work.
Well, it's actually, you bring up a good point. You can do it with 2, and the photo kind of was leading you in that direction. The problem with photos is that they're just so dark, and that was not what the scene was about. And I love what you described, Eric, because I think what CW and you were looking for is, what's that hook? What's going to get you excited to paint? What makes you break out a paintbrush and squeeze a tube of paint into existence? Probably not black and white, because for me that's just always so boring. But
Yeah.
I've learned and practiced, and I think that it's going to be very helpful for viewers to see how we can kind of twist this into submission for somebody who started out not liking value.
Okay, good. I like it. Let's do it.
Yeah. So let's bring that graphic back just for a second, the 4, that's right. And I talked briefly about grouping the values, and you can see in my notes on the top area that there is a light, medium, and dark. And where I started with my painting was just the ruffle of the tree line, just those up and down shapes, and then making those kind of interesting. So that's where we're going to be heading for the demo today.
All right.
Next, Eric, I want to talk to you about just getting excited about your scene. Here's a challenge. If you have a boring day and you're wondering, I got all of my equipment and gosh, there's not much to paint here. Imagine if you could just invent some of the things that you wanted to paint. There's terms like push color, rearrange your value, do value groupings. Maybe people have seen that in books that they've read or in videos they've watched. And instead of skimming through that and thinking, I don't understand that, let's maybe re-examine some of that as playtime. These are tools that you can adopt. Some might be hard and some might be easy, but guess what? It's just going to depend on the type of person you are. I know a lot of friends and some students that they really like value. And that was something that I had to work really hard at to get better at that. So I'd like to pull up the graphic of the same scene shown in 4 different situations. This was a scene in Easton. Easton has a plein air event, and Easton is very flat. And so you kind of have to look for interesting shapes. Here's that idea of silhouette happening again. We could see some interesting tree shapes. So it's not identical, but it is the same scene. You could see there's a pond in each of them. And you know, the upper scene where we have sunshine is just kind of, it's a little bit boring. It's way more interesting to see the dramatic sky, I think. And also what happens in lower light with dramatic conditions is that Mother Nature is simplifying the value for us. So we see that the sky is in the 3 interesting pictures, actually in all the pictures, the sky is lighter and then the ground mass is darker. So this is something to keep in mind, just like the other picture that I showed, that we could really have things simplified, and these are shapes that we could play with. So Eric, how can we be at the most perfect place at the most perfect time with our art equipment? It rarely happens. So this is my challenge when I make artwork. So I want to show that last image where I'll show the reference photos that I used to create a large 3648 painting of the marsh. So it's the 2 pictures and the artwork. So in this image, you can see that the photos definitely have things wrong with them. In the upper photo, the shadow is too dark. And in the lower photo, we have interesting color, but in a way, the color is kind of taking over. So that didn't match the feeling that I had when I was on location. I wanted softness. I wanted kind of shimmering light. I got very excited with the conditions there. I really just kind of went nuts with this tuft of marsh grass, and I felt like I had to paint it. And so I used different elements of manipulating value, but also I spiced it up with, let's do some kaleidoscope color. Let's have a little bit of fun with this. But I really, Eric, I needed the value to give me a little bit of structure. And you can see that the grasses are all dark and the sky is lighter. Now with the marshy mud, I think you kind of have to squint to see that, because that's where it gets a little tricky. But we'll talk more about those other ideas a little bit later on, maybe after I get started painting.
Okay, good.
Do you have any other questions, Eric?
No, I was going to comment that typically a painting is either a high key painting or a low key painting. High key meaning bright, low key meaning dark. And if it's a dark painting, then the element that stands out the most is the spot of light. If it's a light painting, the element that stands out the most is the spot of dark. So that's something to keep in mind when you guys are when you're creating composition.
That's right. I like to think of it as you always want a good ratio. Like your ratio should be a lot to a little.
Yeah.
And you could fill in the blank. If I have a lot of blue, I'm going to need a bit of red or orange, which is the opposite. If I've got a lot of water, I need something else. And that would be also what you're talking about. If I have a lot of dark, I need a little bit of light. Because if you make things 50-50, it's not as interesting.
It's going to be boring.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you don't do boring paintings.
I like to jazz it up. Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, I've never seen a boring painting that you've done. Let's put it that way.
Well, this is I wanted to share something with people, and I thought that's what I'm doing is I'm drawing from my imagination. I'm kind of leaning into the weirdness. This is what I thought was weird about my work. But I think if you kind of dig deep into that and examine how you could bring tools to your weirdness, you can kind of channel that and morph it into hopefully something really good.
All right. If you guys are just tuning in, our guest today is Christine Lashley. She's going to tell you how to make your paintings better. She's going to show you. And she's a great teacher. I have a piece of her artwork hanging on the wall here. It's fabulous. Thank you, Christine. I know you probably wanted it back, but I stole it from you.
You're
And-
welcome to it, Eric.
but it's one of the favorite pieces in my collection because it's just amazing. She has a video out with us called Paintings That Sparkle, and it's outstanding. As a matter of fact, it's something that everybody should check out because it really shows you how to make that. This is a great example of the light standing out in the dark. You really made that example. So let's go ahead and get to the next level on this.
Okay, sounds great. I'm gonna move the camera into position and we are going to get started.
Okay, while she's doing that, let me just tell you about something that's coming up. I have an event coming called Art Business Mastery Day. It's a one-day event. It's Friday, January 10th. You're going to take the whole day, and this should cost you several hundred, probably several $1,000s. But my gift to you for the new year is I'm doing it for $45 or $47. And why am I doing that? Because if I can get a few thousand people on this broadcast and can help you pick out one or two or three things that are going to make you better for the year, help you make a little bit more money or a lot more money, then I will have done my job. And then, of course, if you have more money, you have more money you can spend with me, right? So, I want you to be successful. And I have a lot of guests on this program. I have 𝗕𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘁𝗵, one of the leading mindset coaches and goal setting coaches. I have Andrew Tischler, who's one of the leading Instagram stars. He's going to be teaching how he did it. We have people teaching you about pricing, about getting into galleries. We have, let's see, who do we have? I'm trying to think of, I'm not prepared, obviously, but we have gallery owners who are Elaine Adams from American Legacy Fine Arts so far, and probably one other. We have people who are going to be teaching all the different principles of business and marketing for artists. And if you just embrace one little thing from each of those 9 or 10 segments, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be spectacular. People are tuning in from all over the world. We've already got hundreds of people signed up, and we hope that thousands of people will sign up, but that's up to you. Anyway, that's coming. Just go to Streamline Art Events. That's my company, Streamline, streamlineartevents.com/marketing. Remember, it's $47. It's, you're going to go to lunch with a friend, get a couple of sandwiches. We went to dinner last night. We got we got 2 salads and it was $40. That's crazy. But $47 invested in your business, your art business, whether you're serious about it, want to get to the next level, whether you just want to make a little more money, do it. You will not regret it. Okay, back to Christine Lashley. She's ready now. See how I like to fill time?
Eric, is this good, or do you want me to come a little closer maybe?
I'd like a little closer if you can, just
Sure.
because we want to be able to see that canvas. A little bit closer now. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, you got it.
All right.
Even a little bit in here.
Yeah. I hope there's room for you.
Well, I'm going to make it work, Eric. I'm going to
Yeah.
make it work.
That's the way you are.
So I
Hello,
had,
Sweden. Hello, United Kingdom. Welcome.
I will just go over my colors. I'm going to be doing direct painting, no medium. This is oil. I have cobalt blue, ultramarine, transparent oxide. I've got a cool red, which is akin to a purple. It's a quinacridone magenta. And you could also use permanent alizarin crimson. This is white. I've got permanent red here. It's a CAD substitute color. I like this. And I've got CAD yellow and CAD yellow light. And so it's a kind of a modified palette. I might need more white. Usually the vertical palette works pretty well, but yeah, everything slid down.
So there's a question. Can you tell a little bit about the vertical palette?
It's just for the demo because I thought it would be nice for people to see the mixing of the color.
Okay.
And this is a neutral gray paper, so you could get these paper pads. And this panel is untoned, but it's all media primed.
One thing I want to mention about the vertical palette is that if it's not too oily, it won't slip down. And if you can get your palette beside your painting like that, then it's in the exact same light as your canvas, versus if it's laying flat at a different angle, then it's not going to be the same exact light. But it's probably easier the other way.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to have a vertical palette.
Yeah.
I have these kind of magic colors that I'll explain their role a little bit later, but I like to mix this kind of eggplant color. And so you could see against the gray palette, it's doing this. And if you look at it on the white, wow, it does that. So it seems really dark. And I like this eggplant color for, I'm going to have a right and left tree mass, and then I want to vary the shape. So my sky is going to be here and my water is going to be here. And I wanted to talk to people about this idea of going back to value, going back to shape. We're just going to quite simply work on shape with this kind of nice neutral gray that I've mixed here. You could add a bit more of this violet if you want to, or a bit more of the transparent oxide, but these are all maintaining the same value range. They're just, this one's a little bit warmer and this one's a little bit cooler. So I want warmer things in the foreground. So my scene, you can see my reference photo, it's a little bit boring and we want to jazz it up. We want to make it a little bit more exciting and we want to make it unequal. So notice I've given this amount of space to the water and less space to the sky. I could even scoot it up just a little bit if I want to. Paint is surprisingly easy to just move around. I really like to work with kind of greasy paint. I like to have full paint happening on my palette.
Would you
Lots
explain,
of
you
paint.
said you put warmer in the front. Would you explain why you do that?
Sure, I want to have things going back in the distance, and warm makes it pop forward to the viewer. And I'm going to try to keep the value the same just for the sake of illustrating my purpose here. And then I will try to break that apart by punching in some extra darks and extra lights. So we're just going to work in gray. We're just going to work in 2 value. Your worst nightmare, Eric. Just 2 value, nothing else. Oh my gosh.
I'm happy with
So,
that. Hello, Norway. This is perfect for Norway because it's probably very dark there right now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Very, very dark and gloomy. Probably not very sunny this time of year. Brett, tell us what's going on there in the comments. Britt.
So I have this mass. Notice I've varied the shape just a bit. And with this one, I might even want to try bringing this up. So all I'm doing is playing around with the shape at this point.
Are you using regular oil or are you using water soluble oil?
This is regular oil, but you can mix them. That's fine to mix them. Now I'm going to take away some of the red mixture in there. I'm not using the transparent oxide, which has yellow. So yellow gets lost going in the distance. And you could still see, I'm moving this up just a little bit here. So these are all pretty much the same value. So Eric, now I did a value study. If we took a picture and stripped this into black and white, I have my shapes of the trees and I have the shape of the far land mass. And this in simplified form is my master plan for
If you
what.
squint down, that white reflecting in the water, in the sky, I mean, it works.
Yep, that's going to be the plan. Now, just to show viewers kind of where this is headed so people will understand what is happening, I'm probably planning on doing a shape like this for the shore here and something like a shape like this for the shore. And so
Well,
that's
that's a very good thing. You guys want to show you show how you make the water meet the mass. And talk about that line that you just put in there and why that serves that.
yeah, it's kind of like a hamburger bun, or you just cut it in half. So what this shows me is if this is my top part of the hamburger, then I just want that to be a little bit more. So this slices in the middle. And the important part of what we've done is the far mass is here. And then we have a little chip down of this mass. And I have only a slight line here. I'm going to do a wrong move for drawing. Sometimes I see students do something like this, but that's going to end up looking more like a road. So we don't want that. You want a softer transition to your shoreline. That's always going to look better. And we're going to do things to this to make it more interesting. We're going to break this apart.
All right.
So in the case of this, if this was really reflecting, I could bring this all the way down here. But you might see from the photo that the shore is going to be coming up in this area.
I'm going to
So
show the
we'll
photo.
see.
I'm going to show the photo for everybody real quickly.
Yeah, I think we have that inset right now. So viewers should be able to see that, which is
They
great.
can. Yes, they can.
A trick that I use, Eric, is to do a different brush. So and the brush goes to the value. So this is you could either think of this as a medium or a dark brush, because remember, it wasn't full on dark. Just for a point of reference, this is going to be my super dark, but I haven't used that yet. I have the soft gray instead. Next, my job is to keep the value relationships. So I'm keeping all of this a little bit darker, and I'm going to make this green as well. And next, I want to have the sky be lighter. So I'm just going to pull out the watercolorists. If you're doing something like this, that means you use a bit more water. And for oil painters, you use white to make it lighter. So here I am with my blue sky. This is my first try at making a blue sky. So, and also then we're going to do the sky first and then the water. So if I have the sky here, it's pretty close in value right now to, this is my land mass. And it's another reason I wanted to show the palette so that people could see where things were happening on the palette. And when I mix this color, I could see the relationship of this to this. And so I'm already thinking to myself, gosh, I think I might want that a little lighter because I want a better value separation. And now I like that better. So I'm already ahead of the game when I have the color chips laid out on my palette.
Well, that's a good way to do that, because otherwise, if you're doing it on your canvas and then you have to remix it, it's better to do it on the palette so you can test it.
Yep, exactly. Now, another thing that I like to do, I found being a vivid painter with lots of color, is that it's actually to my best advantage to work with dirty brushes, which might be shocking and terrible news to some people who have taken workshops or been told that that is bad. But for me, that works out pretty well. And I'll show you why, because you can see the little bits of hidden color in here. For me, that creates a unity. That type of gray is a way that I can kind of, it's like cheating with value, tamping down all of the colors just a little bit. So again, this technique works really well for me. It might not be working well for everybody, but this came from the necessity of not being able to work with any type of solvent because I'm allergic to it. And so being a colorful and creative painter that just wants to fling down color, this actually worked out pretty well for me because I'm basically adopting gray with every brush stroke. It's kind of hiding in here. So next thing I want to do is I want to pick up a little tiny grain of red, just the littlest, tiniest bit. Let's see here if I could show viewers. That's probably going to be too much. So maybe like a half a rice grain. So I'm just going to wipe that off. And I'm going to put this in my mixture up here. Notice I'm mixing my sky colors adjacent.
Why did you want to put red into that?
Remember when we talked about the lot to a little? So I'm making a painting with a lot of blue. So I have to look for excuses to add a bit of red to it. I have to do it. And the photo doesn't want to show you that red is in the sky, but red is going to, remember, it's same brush. So red, and this creates some really nice juicy brush strokes. So basically red is creating like a violet color or the soft gray, and I'm going to work that right into my mixture for the sky. That's going to create that cloud mass that's happening. And now I'm just continuing to move that. And so I'm mixing on the panel. I'm just mixing that right here. And that's a great, super easy way to, I don't have to rinse my brush. I can hit the ground running when I'm making plein air paintings. If I mix this way, it will mix the color. But if I have the brush, I'm picking up sky color now. Let's say I'm kind of bummed out because this kind of went to mishmash and I want another shape here. If I have the brush put really low down, notice how it makes really nice full deposit of color. I can get back a cloud shape in there. So now I can rearrange those shapes a bit.
Ooh la la.
There it is. Some stuff's happening.
Yeah. Loving this.
And I'm working with a number 10. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the sky color so everybody could see that. And I'm going to work with a progressive mixture for the water. Now that I've done the sky, the trees are important, but I'm focusing on the sky and the water before I go back and break up these shapes. So I have this area of the sky. Now we talked about the hamburger that's divided for the shoreline. How are we going to measure this? I'm going to have, let's just put this in first.
Hey, I've got an idea.
What's your idea? Do you have,
because we're so close to Christmas, I think I'll give away a couple of videos today.
wow.
And I know that if I give away one of your videos, you're going to be mad at me because then you can't pay for that new studio. But I think I'm going to give away one of your videos today, and I'm going to give away one other one at the end. Okay.
Well, I'm not going to say no to all that generousness, but if you had a wave of generosity, Eric, that's a good thing. So here's how you're going to make reflections. You could start with just a simple line and then maybe just make these adjustments with that same like hamburger idea. And this is going to be that far shoreline. Now I really have to vary that line because it's too equal, but I just wanted to show that to viewers for now so that people understood where I'm going with this. So if I have a tree bump up, the tree needs to bump down. So we can measure from here to here and here to here. That's how I made that. But I got so excited to do the water. That's typical of me because I'm going to do a dab of blue just because it's so exciting. I'm looking at my photo, but Eric, I just got myself in trouble. So the blue, I think, is going to be too strong and too pure because if I look back at my palette gives me clues on what I messed up. When you have a water reflection, the water reflection is always going to be less intense and of the color, so therefore it's going to be less blue. So how do I make it less blue? I can take some of these colors and just kind of tamp that down, meaning diminish the chroma. That's how I think of it, is like
So
just get
tell everybody
control of those.
tell everybody what chroma is.
Chroma is the hot intensity of the color. This is so blue, but if I do this, it's going to be better to have it be a grayed out color. And if you look at the reference photo, that was one of the things I liked about the reference photo. It even picked up a bit of this violet cast to it at the lower edge. So
You know,
water,
what a beginner painting people tend to do is they want to make everything colorful.
yep,
And as I've studied paintings at museums over the years, the most colorful looking paintings are actually gray paintings with little spots of color. But when you make everything colorful, then nothing stands out.
that's so true. It's like thinking of uh, all music playing at once, and you want to enjoy those notes.
That's a good
How am I going to set up this scene to make the best moves possible? And remember, Eric, value is, I have a sketchy past with value. It was not all happy times.
We're not going to get into your sketchy past. We know there's a lot more to that.
So here I've created my water reflections, and now we're going to do the fade of the water, which is just loads of fun. And I'm going to be skipping into more advanced. We kind of hedged our, we don't want to scare viewers away with now we're going to be talking about advanced value, but basically that's what we're going to be doing. And advanced ideas are same thing that I kind of alluded to over here is we're going to maintain this value, but we're going to shift the color. So that means if you took out your phone and stripped this to black and white, or you squinted, it should be the same value because that's going to create really powerful, you basically double your brush power because optically it looks like there's a lot more going on. And you can see from my reference photo, I'm looking for a warmer color, but not too crazy for the shoreline. So all of these are going to be in the same color family. So I could play with blue, I could play with purple, I could play with these kind of tan colors, and that's what's going to make my water.
Hello, Nairobi. Welcome. Hello, Tuscany. Yeah, you're pulling them in, Christine.
Oh boy, I'm flattered. So I'm mixing more color now because I don't want to be stingy, and I'm trying hard to, I feel the urge to make rock chatter in here. I feel that urge. But so now, Eric, I have same value, but the color has been shifted. And this is how we're going to get to a really nice soft fade that looks like shallow water. And we're going to be, so it doesn't look like much now, I'll grant you that. But
All
as
right,
soon
so
as
what
we
I'm
start,
doing, Christine, I'm looking at it through my value specs. I was squinting to see if I could see the values. And as I look at it through the value specs, which convert it to black and white, you're spot on.
am I? Oh, good. Well, we're having fun now. Nobody can stop us. We're having fun now. So this is the trick, Eric, is that this is what got me hooked on value, is that once you kind of break out little pieces of it and find ways to have fun, you know, don't want to be a toddler and say, I don't want to mix a value scale. Well, don't mix a value scale. but start out with a really basic idea and see if you can have fun with it by edging your way into some of those techniques. And I found that I loved what happened with the fade of the water. I loved what happens when
Well, that makes it so believable by laying the value over the other value.
Yeah.
It makes it feel transparent.
Well, plus we get a vibrancy and a color harmony that's happening here. You could see a little blue shift here. And so I've faded the brown into the blue, and I've faded the blue into the brown. So then you can go back and forth and fade that even more if you want to. So I'm trying really hard not to shift the value, but then when you do shift the value, some interesting things happen, because then we start to look at submerged rocks, and that's just lots of fun there. But that is breaking apart my shapes with detail. So I'm not quite going to go into that just quite yet. So we want the shoreline to continue here.
So Christine, the comments, everybody says you're a really great teacher.
Oh, well, thanks. I think it's important to talk about ways where my brain was just in a noodle with trying to understand this. It's especially puzzling when other people say, "Oh yeah, you know, and I did it this way and I did it that way," and you think, "But I don't see that. I don't understand that." And so to break down how I made it work for me is important. So next, what we want to do, Eric, is I had a lot of lines going this way. So one thing that I could do, and this is where the magic really starts to happen. I'm going to take that same value that I've established down here, and I'm also going to shift it from bluer going to browner, because that would create some variety. So you could just take it like that. And now it looks like the river is deeper over here.
So it's kind of a gradation.
Exactly. So the more you do the gradation, and when you do a gradient, it's really beneficial to have your friend same value, but shift the color, because then it doesn't look so choppy. If I put this super dark value in here, that's breaking the value. Even if I change the color, we could do whatever we want, but the value is dark, so it commands attention. Just like you were saying, in a field of lighter, if we have a darker thing, it commands attention. So we just got to be careful of that and watch out. The first job of the artist is to create more harmony, and then you can always break it up, adhering to your big basic shapes. Okay, let's do the same playtime. I'm gonna shift my brush to a green brush, so my yellows are misbehaving, they're sliding down. So I'm just gonna mix a green. And I bet you know where this is going, Eric.
I'll bet it's going to be the same value.
Same value. You're learning so well.
Yes.
Good job, Eric. So let's try that out. I could paint right into this paint here.
Well, that's interesting because it reads like light, but it's the same value. That's interesting to me.
Yep. Wow. So right here, we could see it's the same. Oh, actually, we can't see that because the photo is covering over it.
I'm going to put my value specs on again and see if this is the same. It is. So if you have yellow reduces as it recedes, and you wanted to make the trees on the left feel closer than the trees on the right, what would you do? Make them warmer?
You can make them warmer, but you can also, that's when you start into, so we're all in the safe zone, we're into groupings, and we're into block and massing. So then we're going to jump into adding some jazz and spangle on the scene, and it's really fun. So those are the little bits. So next what I want to do is I have this is my green value right here. So I've mixed can almost mix this color. Eric, this is the most challenging color to get just right, and I might fail at it, but I'm going to try because I think it's so important to show viewers the surprise of this is the same value here, and it's almost exactly what I've used for this water mixture, but this is how you make trees in the distance look like they have sun on them. And I can't cross over and do too much there, but
And is that the same value as the trees in the distance?
well, this is in the darker grouping, but this and this are almost the same values. Sometimes I have to edge and make a little bit of white there. And probably for the sake of Zoom, it's not gonna show up. You know, we're doing the live stream thing, so people might be like, "Oh, where'd she put the paint? I can't see it." So we'll go big again. Your question is a good one. How do you make some exciting moves on those trees? Like, what about the leaves and so forth? This would be jumping the gun a little bit. I'm trying to build this kind of carefully. So if I add a lot of dots here, it's just what I'm doing is adding texture. I'm not really thinking about the form. So again, I don't really want to do that. If you find yourself making a mistake and going to that, sometimes it's good to recapture the basic shape of what is. Maybe there's a tree hanging out here, which would be hanging out here as well. And I do want more of, I want more of this mid green. And don't be afraid of using a lot of paint. A lot of paint is, big piles of paint are a happy thing.
Yeah, but it's so expensive. I hear that
You
all
know
the
what they
time.
say, paint like a millionaire.
That's right. Who is they?
I don't know. And then good stuff happens too when you add just a little bit of, now we're maybe into some details. Sometimes you need to add like a stem or something like that just to start to see where the painting could go with the shoreline. Those would be more sparkly bits, but this is what I want to save for that, not necessarily the tree mass. Meaning the leaves up here, I want to save that for the trunk. And those are a bit equal.
We got about 5 more minutes. I'm sorry to say. This
All
is going
right.
so fast. Hello, India. Welcome. Who knew that when we started this for COVID that we'd be having 16 million people watching this?
Well, Eric, art is so fun. I love that it transcends cultures and people are really into it. That's great.
Yeah, it's really wonderful hearing from people who are learning.
And next I want to make sure I could even go more vibrant here to start getting some of these colors. For the shore.
So when you put rocks in, are they going to be a brighter value? I guess they would have to be, wouldn't they?
Well, the rocks are going to have, you can start shifting the value now, just like I was doing for the trees.
Yeah.
And so they could be both darker and lighter. But now I've set it up so that there's room for some of that playtime here. And here's one that I worked on for a while, so you could see where I just continued to work on this. And having rocks protrude out of the stream, developing some of this and having these submerged rocks.
Yes,
So
that would be a wonderful Christmas present. Thank you for asking. Somebody needs to buy that. That's beautiful. Well,
I'm
Christine, I think what we're going to have to do is wrap up here because we're running out of time. We're going to give away a couple of videos, so I want people to hang in there. Why don't you come on camera and help us out here? That was really tremendous. It
Thanks,
went by
Eric.
so fast. You're such a good teacher.
Well, I think it's fun because I feel like my brain is so jumbly and flawed that if I can help people out with trying to cut to the point and I learned from my mistakes, I guess.
Well, you're very humble and you're very real, and that's why everybody loves you, I think. Okay, let's pull up a picture of Christine's video. And this one's called Paintings That Sparkle. And this is available at painttube.tv. As a matter of fact, we have a discount. We're doing the 12 Days of Christmas discounts. And so you can, this is for day 9, which is, I don't know what date this is, but you can get a discount on this, so you don't have to pay full price. And that's if you go to painttube.tv/day-9. PaintTube, we'll put that in the chat, painttube.tv day-9. But before you buy it, let's see if you win it. So here's what you got to do is you got to put something in the chat right now that says, I want to win. And we're going to do 2 giveaways. We're going to do one of Christine's videos. We're going to do another one of 𝗕𝗲𝘁𝗵's. And the 𝗕𝗲𝘁𝗵, we're going to wait and not do it right now because we got more people that watch on replay than we have watching live. But this one's for the live. So go in right now and we're going to pick somebody from the comments. Paintings That Sparkle. So go in and say that you want it. And we're just going to pick somebody. We'll give you guys a half a second here to do it. And all right.
Eric, I'll say about that video too, it has some tips for watercolor painters because I
Oh,
do a
does
lot
it?
of my sketching in watercolor.
Oh, okay. Terrific. Okay, I'm going to start scrolling and you just you tell me when to stop. Okay?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, stop.
Okay, Svetlana. Oh man, she just went away. Svetlana Proskuroziskra. I'm sorry, I did it. Svetlana, tell us where you're from, and then we will reach out to you in the chat and make sure that you get that video. So everybody else, we have a discount for it today. So congratulations, Svetlana. And we'll put a link in there to the video. Okay, the other thing we're going to do, and go ahead and put it in the chat, and we'll check this later, but we're going to give away 𝗕𝗲𝘁𝗁𝗻's new video as part of the 12 Days of Christmas. And this is a 3-part series, so you can get 3 different versions of this. And that was done on location. And so it's really worth seeing. So go in there and say, I want Kathy. And then we will pick later and we'll give a chance. So we have a discount on Kathy's. Today is day 9. Oh, today is day 9. Okay. So today is day 9. So you can get a discount on Kathy's video on today. I see. I must have misunderstood that. Okay. So that's, go ahead and put that in there. Christina, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Eric.
No, I
Thanks to
say
viewers for
Christina, I
tuning
say
in.
What are you
That was
doing
great.
for Christmas?
We're going to be traveling to see family. So that will
Okay.
be nice. We're going to be.
Oh, can we travel and see your studio? Let's bring up those photos and you tell us what these are all about.
Yeah. Again, I never thought I'd have a studio, but you could see in the upper left that we basically built onto our deck. We have a very small yard. And I thought, well, we don't have any room at all. And then the kids are older. We just weren't using the deck as much. If we wanted to go for a hike, we had our neighborhood. And if we wanted to eat outside, wouldn't a studio be nicer? So, and also we thought this is going to be an investment in the house because we've added to the square footage. And of course, I absolutely love the studio. And Eric, art and artwork was taking over the entire house. And my husband was like, that's it. We are making this studio happen. And
So your evil plan worked.
yes, exactly. So paint bigger, then you get a studio. That's the deal, right? So here you could see the sliding glass door became that where it looks like a walk-in closet. That was my old studio, which was behind that sliding glass door. And so the new space is right there with the framing and so forth, but the storage now is of my walk-in closet for frames and canvases and so forth. So this is the lower studio where I do framing and there's gallery space, and I did a cork floor because it's in contact, kind of, very insulating, really nice. Some thrifted furniture there, and tall ceilings. So that was good for that space. A lot of room to spread out. And here's a view going the other way. This is where it all started. Was that's the foundation. So that on the top, that used to be our deck, and they excavated a little bit and built. The walls are super thick. So that's the spiral staircase going up to the upper studio. That was a remnant of a kitchen cabinet for the center island. And here's where I did my demo today. So I tried a couple of different places for my easel. It's so luxurious to have the easel go up. Being a tall person, I love having the easel go up and down. I can work big. I don't have to crouch down on the floor anymore. Get to step back from my work. And a big deal was, well, I had friends say, I see your plans, Christine, but my gosh, that's a lot of windows. So that is a north-facing view of the woods. And in the summer, we don't see the townhomes that are through the woods. But the north light is beautiful, and those skylights close. They have a button closure, so I can open or shut them as needed. And yeah, I built the whole studio as if I was painting out of my car hatch, which is pretty much my favorite place to paint. So that's the concept. You can always close up windows, but you can't add them back. That was
Yeah.
the absolute key to my whole studio design.
Oh, nice. What a beautiful, congratulations. That's very
Thank you. Thank you.
well. Thank you for being on today. You are such a great teacher and a good friend and a fabulous painter. So we're all very proud of you. Proud of you for accomplishing that studio. And just shows what can happen. You can be, uh, a stay-at-home mom one day, and the next day a successful artist. And I know you've worked very hard. I don't want to diminish that. And now you have
No,
your own studio space.
yeah.
You're a true inspiration. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
it was dream come true. I
Outstanding.
feel very fortunate.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much again, Christine Lashley. Everybody, thumbs up and
Thanks,
applause.
Eric.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. Whoops, we cut her off. Thanks, everybody, is what she was saying. Okay, I want to tell you guys something. We have a milestone that we're just very close to. Last Christmas, I said, I want to hit 100,000 followers on the YouTube show by January 1st. Now I want to hit 140,000 by January 1st. So we're only 1,000 away. If all of you people watching today that are not subscribers go into YouTube, just go to YouTube, look for Art School Live, and hit that subscribe button. You can also do the little bell so you get notified when we go live. That would be like really, really cool. We would really appreciate it, because YouTube, we have a plaque back there. You see that? That plaque came when we hit 100,000. We don't get another plaque until we hit 1 million. We've had 16,600,000 views, but we need 16 million followers. Wouldn't that be cool? But anyway, it would be really nice if you would do that for us. And by the way, it benefits you, because then you're reminded to tune in. So make sure you do that. A couple other things quickly. Number one is Watercolor Live is coming up. Watercolor Live is our online conference of all watercolor for 3 days, plus a 4th Beginners Essentials Day. Some of the top artists in the world are teaching, and you will just be completely consumed in watercolor. And if you don't paint watercolor, it's a great way to learn, a great way to get to the next level if you do. And that is coming up January 22nd. So go to watercolorlive.com/ASL. Also coming up is Acrylic Live, which is going to be in March. We've already got just a massive number of people signed up for both of these. And so join us for Acrylic Live. There's more faculty to be added. And Kevin McPherson is going to show why he's moving to acrylic. Anyway, that's coming up in March. So sign up for that at acryliclive.com/ASL. And last but not least, Art Business Mastery Day. This is coming up January 10th. And I'll be teaching all my tricks and techniques for marketing, not all of them because I can't teach it all in a day. And I have about 7 or 8 guests that we'll be talking about and announcing soon. So make sure you join us for that. We're going to teach you how to get to the next level so you can make more money, so you can live your dreams. And that's the 10th of January, and it's only $47. So make sure you come to that. StreamlineArtEvents.com/marketing. Thank you to all the people around the world, Norway and India and Sweden and Italy, the United Kingdom, Nairobi, a lot of people from all over the place. Thank you for tuning in. The thing that I love about this, as Christine said, is that we're all one big family. We all speak the same language. Our language is making art. And if you are watching this and you've never made art, we want you to try it. If you watch just 5 of our programs where we're teaching art, you will get the confidence that you can learn this. And we're teaching you. We have tons of resources you can learn for free. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos we've done since COVID on the YouTube channel. And then we have resources like painttube.tv, which has over 700 art instruction videos professionally produced with really high quality. That's where Christine's video is, and others. So check that out. And hopefully we'll see you between now and Christmas, but if not, have a Merry Christmas. Have a great day. And remember, stay positive. No matter what happens in the world, art is the one unifying principle that everybody loves. Take care. Bye-bye.